and welcome. This is Project Healing Waters, Fayetteville, North Carolina program, and today's fly is the Allegany Nymph. This fly originated from two buddies that like to fish together. I believe they're from Pennsylvania, being it's Allegheny. But they were talking one day and they wanted to come up with a fly that they could fly on their local waters. So his buddy and he and his buddy consulted and came up with this. And I thought this would be a great fly for our program because of it's not too difficult. The materials are easy to come by. And as far as the difficulty, I don't want to say it's not difficult, but for a beginner, I would say it's a medium fly. The cool aspects of the fly is the hot spot on the back, which is a red thread, and you also have a red head for it, which is another hot spot. You've got Partridge on the back as a tail, and then you've got the Partridge as a hackle. And then I guess the game changer is the Peacock Hurl body with the copper ribbing. So the material list for this is a Umpqua nymph hook, size 14, TMC 3761. The thread we're using is uni thread, 8/0. Color red. The lead we're using is 0.015. We're using medium copper wire. Peacock Hurl for the body. And then premium partridge feathers. They're Hungarian and the color is natural. So let's get started. Let's take the hook and put it in the vise. And I like to start with my lead wraps first. Makes it a little easier instead of having to deal with your thread when it's already on there. So we just want to do 10 to 12 wraps. And you can do more, you can do less, depending on the movement of water that you're using. So we don't want overlapping wraps. Okay. So I'm going to slide this up. Use my I probably should have used a longer piece of lead, but this will work. Hackle pliers will work. Okay. Let's see what we got here. It's looking pretty good. Like I said, you can use as many as you want, and you want to leave a good gap in between the lead wraps and the eye of the hook, probably an eye length, because we are putting hackle on the other side of that, and we're going to build up ahead, so I'm going to do a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to start my thread at the end behind the lead. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it back forward just so we can lock that lead in. And it looked like it kind of creeped up on me. You got to be careful not to put too much thread in between this, because it will space it out and you'll lose your gap in between your eye and the lead. So it's locked in, and let's go ahead and build a taper for this. You don't need to go too big, because we're going to be putting in Peacock Hurl the tail as well as the copper wire. So I want to bring this back with touching wraps and just go slow. Don't hit the hook point and break your thread. And we just want to come down. Looks like it crawled up down on me. Down the bend of the hook just a little bit to create that hot spot. And I think I've got it. So now I'm going to bring touching wraps forward to about the barb of the hook. Yeah, maybe a little more forward. And that'll do it right there. So first what we want to add is we want to add our partridge. And in my bundle of partridge, I have brown and gray. So I've elected to use the gray for the tail, and I'm just using just a little pinch. As for the tail, and so I'm just going to rip that off the stem. If I can grab it here. Alright, there we go. And we just want it to come off the back of the fly just a little bit, less than a hook gap. So I like that position. And so we're just going to sink it down on the shank. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it back just to get these fibers to come down. And you can leave this tag as much as you want. You can have as much of a tag as you want. So that's secure up by the lid, and we're going to remove it. Okay, looks good. And remember, we're going to be throwing Peacock Hurl in here too, so it'll cover up any issues that you may come across. I'm not a very good fly tyer, so I have to, the Peacock Hurl or ribbing or dubbing hides a lot of my imperfections. Almost like a caulking for a contractor. So now we'll throw on our wire, and we want to bring this back behind the lead to our stopping point. Okay, that's good for me. And so now, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back up just to make sure that copper wire is secure, and it looks like it is. Okay, so now we're going to come back and add our Peacock Hurl, and we're just adding 2 strands. Okay. And I'm just going to find the good spots of where I want to. You can see where it's discolored a little bit and it's got color. So I'm going to cut it right at that area. So my 2 strands will look nice and cover up what I need for it to cover up. And then I'm just going to bring this up a little bit to make sure it sinks down. That's where I want it. And so we're just going to bring this all the way up. Make sure it's nice and secure. We're going to look under it, make sure we don't have any true blemishes. Looks like my copper wire is exposed a little bit. So we are going to cover that up. And just take your time. And you can see where it's kind of bubbling out there, so I'm just going to build that up a little bit. The Peacock Hurl will definitely cover up a bunch of it. So let's bring our thread all the way back up to our starting point. And now we're going to tie in our Peacock Hurl. Be careful with the point of the hook because it will tear into this. And you'll have to start all over with your Peacock Hurl. Just do nice touching wraps. Make sure the body is nice and uniform. You don't have any serious bulges. And bring this all the way up to the front, to the lead. Do one more wrap, and we're going to secure this with 2 to 3 wraps. Should be fine. And we're going to remove our excess. Now what we want to do is we want to bring our copper wire the opposite direction. And basically this is just here to make sure the fish don't tear up the Peacock Hurl and kind of keep it in place. Alright, we've got that, so let's go ahead and secure this. And I like to do revolving wraps with this, because what becomes really frustrating is when you start to helicopter this off and it tends to come out of your wraps, which is very frustrating. So I'll turn this up and we're going to helicopter this off. And it doesn't really matter what size wire you use. I just chose to use the medium-sized wire. Now what we want to do is I'm going to actually, like I said, in my pack I have brown and gray partridge feathers, and so I'm going to tie in a brown for my hackle. And this is the way you want to set it up. Grab the tip and create a tie-in spot, which is right here in between the V's. So I'm going to grab it and we're going to tie it in. You know, it's good. I'm going to grab this and move it back. And you can do one of two things. You could either remove this or you can leave it. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it, because it'll add more body to the top of the fly as I'm moving this around. Not body, more hackle. Okay, so I'm going to grab my hackle pliers, which I do not like to use, but in this case it is a necessity. So let's bring our line all the way to the eye, and we're just doing 2 wraps with this. And we're going to move our fibers back so they don't get pushed forward. And 2. Don't worry about if the fibers start going forward, because we're going to move everything back as we tie the thread in. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to secure our partridge with 2 good wraps. Would probably suffice. And now what we want to do is we want to get up in here and cut the remaining. And this is where you want to be careful, because you don't want to cut all your feathers off of the fibers off of one side. Okay, that's looking pretty buggy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to push the fibers back and then bring our thread backwards. So our fibers will come backwards over the body of the fly. We want these to be coming backward over the Peacock Hurl. Okay, and it looks like we have what we want there. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to build up the head. Looks like I got some pokies there that we're going to clean up. And now what we want to do is just build up that head. Remember, we still have to add whip finishes here, but I think that head looks pretty good to me. And I'm only going to do 1 set of 4 whip finishes here, because we do use either UV or fingernail hardener on the front of this fly. And so now what you want to do is you want to grab some Sally Hansen or UV, whatever you decide that you want to use, and try not to get it on the hackle. And we are just going to harden that up a little bit. Sorry about that, but my computer shut down for some reason. But after you do the Sally Hansen and the Sally Hansen dries, this is primarily what the fly should look like. You should have an even hackle going all the way around it and look like such. I'm excited to fish this fly up in western North Carolina to see what it does. It's got a lot of action with it, and I've tied a bunch of them to take to my veterans to see if they like it. I've done the gray tail with the gray hackle. I've done the brown tail with the brown hackle, and vice versa. So I have several different colors of this, and we'll see what it's going to do. I'll have the materials in the comment section. And if you have any questions about this fly, certainly reach out to us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. This is Project Healing Waters, and this is the Allegany fly. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you next time. If you like what you're seeing, hit the like button, and we will keep on tying. We're going to have two. This is a second fly for November. And we will, my program lead's got a special fly that he wanted to do for December. But starting January, we're going to have two flies every month. So we look forward to educating you. And like I said, if you got any questions, reach out to us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you.